Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Timeless Performer, and our guest today is Eric Schiffer, and Eric is the CEO of Patriarch Equity and also digital marketing. I want to welcome you to our show today. You've been on my radio show, right, Eric?
Welcome to Laguna Beach.
Oh, thank you. This is such a gorgeous place to be, especially on your birthday.
Yes, absolutely. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Happy 39th birthday.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, I don't really think about age. I think about what you can do in life and how much fun you can have in your own world, but you can also inform people. So what I loved about when I got the pitch about you was that you are, even though you're young, you're so mature in the sense of the world, right?
I have been on many adventures.
Many adventures.
So I think it gives you a perspective about life.
Right.
And a way of synthesizing life that helps port that data and information over to a lot of different experiences. So yeah, I'm emotionally mature right. In many ways. Yeah.
Did you grow up as an only child, or?
I've older brother.
Older brother.
Yes.
And parents from here in California?
Parents from the East Coast.
East Coast. Mm-hmm. And when did you move here to the West Coast?
About 10 years ago.
Do you like it?
Love it.
Love it. The weather's gorgeous, isn't it?
Laguna Beach, it's gorgeous. I mean, you're looking at seals and whales, and it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, have you always you've always been an entrepreneur? You were an actor. You're an actor as well.
No,
not anymore.
I did a little dabbling a long time ago.
A long time ago. We all do, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm still in it, so I don't know about you. Now, you're doing radio. You do speaking engagements. You write for Forbes magazine. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
How did you start out originally? What did your mom and dad do? I mean, what were their professions? Did they mentor you?
My father is a brain surgeon.
A brain surgeon. Oh, wow.
And my mother taught college calculus.
Wow.
So they met in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
And
I used to live in Marlton, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah.
I used to have a program in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's such a cool region. I love the East Coast, but I love Philly and I love South Jersey because I think they're really awesome places that you can go to the beach. You can do so many different things there, right? Right. So, did you grow up there?
You know, I grew up in Ohio. So he was doing his training in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, Cleveland.
And then we came out to Northern California when I was about 7 years old, and grew up in Northern California, Silicon Valley.
Oh, Silicon Valley. And actually, that's where my kids actually grew up. We moved there from actually England, and we went to San Ramon, and they went to Cal High.
Yeah.
And so they just migrated back. They couldn't deal not being there. You know, there's something about California that's addictive.
Yes.
Would you say?
I would say very addictive, and I would also say it's just such an eclectic group of people. And the weather is amazing, you know, especially when I moved to Southern California, because I always thought I would have to leave. You know, you have this feeling like it's a perpetual vacation, and you can actually live on a perpetual vacation. And you know, I met a girl online, and she lived in Carlsbad, and I didn't want to go home. I mean, I loved it, so I ended up moving out with her, and I've stayed here ever since.
Stayed here ever since, but you commute.
I commute between here and Los Angeles, so Laguna Beach and
Laguna
Los
Beach
Angeles.
and LA.
Yeah. And
actually, I have a lot of clients out here, so I'm always coming out here and having my daughter here at Hermosa Beach, but she's moving. She's going to New Orleans, and apparently that's becoming a really hot place for some reason or another.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, you know, she lived right across the street from the beach in Hermosa. So you could go up on the roof and you could see the ocean all the time, so they really loved it there. What did you really start out doing? Where did you go to school, and how did your career?
I went to school again in Silicon Valley and the South Bay area, but I was not a big school guy.
You weren't.
You know, I was in all the advanced classes and the gifted programs, et cetera, but I wasn't a big studier. I would just I'd hear it the first time, or I'd read it the first time, and I would get it. But I was always interested in business and entrepreneurism and looking at creating something better or different
Right.
or more advanced. And
Right.
so,
So when was your first business? You look like this child entrepreneur that you see on Shark Tank. Am I right?
Before the Shark Tank times, one of my first businesses was I was around 10 years old, and I was interested in creating educational software. So I wrote a program on sustainability. Now this is in 1980. There was no discussion about sustainability in any macro way. I mean, it was
Right.
pretty specific to unique niches and
Right.
largely energy-oriented individuals that were pretty nerdy and pretty focused.
Were you nerdy, would you say?
No, I was not. No, I mean, I guess if you're into computers, you were at that time, but I never considered myself that way. I was an athlete and, always chasing girls and.
Right. Pretty much the same. But I think your generation was computer oriented.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, we lived in Singapore, and it was like they were way ahead of us in a lot of respects, and everybody had that iPhone, everybody had that situation, and I noticed when we lived there, we were there 3 years, and it was such a trip for me. I mean, it's so fast-paced, and after you lived in that fast-paced environment, we went from that to Turkey.
Yeah.
And then it's like going from, I'm trying to think, to Spain or to South America. It becomes really slow paced. It's tomorrow always. And
Yes.
so it was really hard for me to adjust to that type of culture in the beginning, right? But I soon got into the field. And actually, I had a radio show there. And you're never going to believe this when you hear this. It's going to blow your mind. I didn't know it was an Islamic station until one day I walked in, and everybody's in the, not chadors, they wear kind of like pastel colors.
Right,
and I thought,
right.
where am I? And then when they wouldn't let me play women's compositions, I went, wait a minute, hold on, we're not doing this.
Right.
And so I left. It was just, but it was a big shock to me.
Yeah, I couldn't see you in that environment.
And I couldn't see me in that environment too, because politically I'm not there, and I've always wanted to run, but I can't.
Sure.
Because of other issues. And so if it's to be able to talk about what I believe in or whatever, then with the radio or television I can do that easily.
Yes.
So I feel comfortable in that way, in educating people a little bit differently than the normal media, and that we would talked about that prior. So then the first thing you did was to write this program, right?
I wrote the program, and and I entered it into this science foundation,
Really?
like a fair. It was a science
Right.
fair, and I won a lot of awards. And the CEO of IBM and the CEO of Intel had given awards to me. And I ended up getting some job offers.
At 10?
I wasn't old enough, so I mean, I couldn't actually take them.
What'd your mom and dad think about this?
The whole thing was very interesting to them, that I was so entrepreneurial, and then I formed a business out of that. But I've done a lot of little entrepreneurial things like that. In fact, when the 49ers were playing Dallas
Right.
in the championship game, this was back, I think I was 12 or 13. There's a famous catch that Dwight Clark caught from Joe Montana in the end zone. They called it the catch.
Right.
And that year, the field was in such bad shape because it was wet constantly because of the
Right.
rain. San Francisco was rain. And they were going to replace the field. And so the day after they made the catch, to go on to New Orleans where your daughter is going, I went to the groundskeeper with a friend who had a big van, and we gave him $50, and I dug up the entire painted 49er end zone. And we put it into the van, drove it home. I threw it on my mother's kitchen table, and we cut it up into small little pieces. And we sold it across the country for $4.49 as official super grass, we called it. So
This is like
I
a
was
little lemonade stand
now-
that turned into a big whatever.
now in California you can sell grass legally. This was
Right, back
I
then.
was selling grass before there was there was ever a discussion about this.
Right. We're not talking about pot.
I'm
We're
talking about painted.
We're
49er
talking about
but
grass.
we did call it we did call
Right.
it supergrass.
Supergrass, right. Brilliant idea. How old were you then,
I
12?
think I was like 12 years old. Yeah.
Wow, your mom and dad must have thought, wow, what a kid we have here.
Yeah.
Did they? Did
In
they?
between drowning me.
And on that note, we need to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Eric Schiffer, the CEO of Patriarch Equity and Digital Marketing, on Timeless Performers.